Becca, would you call the roll, please?
Galloway.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
Gill.
Here.
Ogle.
Here.
Pacto.
Here.
Caney Vanderhaar.
Here.
Nolan.
Here.
Cahill.
Here.
George.
Here.
Scavo.
Here.
Thornton.
Here.
Feltner.
Yeah, here.
Junket Ward.
Here.
Chen.
Here.
We have a quorum, an excellent turnout, in fact. Before we get started, I'd like to congratulate Lloyd on the new addition to his family, a baby daughter.
Congratulations.
So he's been burning the candle at both ends lately.
I have indeed. You can.
Glad you're able to make it, Lloyd. Okay, let's talk about the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any suggestions or changes to the agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Next, let's talk about the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, changes, corrections, comments about the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of the previous meeting are approved. Next, we'll turn it over to Ben for his report.
Thank you. Well, I'd ask Callie and Julie to come up and give you an update on Trash Bash. It's one of our programs that continues to grow each time we do this. It's a great program that not only takes care of our environment, but keeps the city clean. So with that, I'll ask Callie and Julie to talk about the details.
Okay.
Mayor Galloway, or Mayor. That's funny. I don't know where that came from. I guess it's because you're in the seat. President Galloway and members of the board, Julie Hempel, horticulture inspector.
And Callie Liao Courtright, Parks and Recreation Supervisor. Julie and I are here this evening I'm going to give you a couple updates. But first we're going to start with Earth Day Trash Bash. So we're responsible for management of 76 parks and 42 miles of trails, 7 cemeteries, and numerous municipal facilities. And for years we've been hosting this cleanup. Many of you have probably heard about it in the spring. And in 2011, 2012, we started to branch out from just the city of Des Moines to actually the greater Des Moines metro area, because it made sense to include our partners and reach out to our surrounding communities, because litter knows no bounds. The streams don't stop at our edges, and so it only made sense to really utilize the power of the volunteers and reach out to our surrounding communities. The City of Des Moines, West Des Moines, Clive, Polk County Conservation, Metro Waste Authority, Ingersoll Business District, Department of Natural Resources, and Des Moines Waterworks worked together in 2012 on our Earth Day Trash Bash. So Earth Day Trash Bash helps us involve the community in our mission of helping Des Moines live well, play hard, and protect the earth. Some of our statistics from last year, where we had about 64 teams, over 1,100 volunteers. It's Iowa's largest Earth Day volunteer effort. In 50 project locations. They collected over 24,000 pounds of trash, recyclables, tires, metal, and brush from our parks, trails, cemeteries, and other public spaces. Including 37.7 pounds of cigarette butts were collected. We have an award that we give out every year called the Big Butowski, so we try to do something fun to collect cigarette butts, if that can be fun. And the combined value of the individuals' time, the corporate volunteers' time, the sponsors, was over $75,000 for that one day of service. We're hoping to expand this year, and Julie will tell you a little bit more about that.
Thanks. So what Callie and I are here to do today is just to raise awareness for Earth Day. We have our the Earth Day scheduled for April 19th from 11:30 to 5. We've handed out the poster with all the details, and so we have a rain date of April 22nd. We have a wide variety of projects involving beautification of our public spaces, litter and invasive species removal. This work's going to help our wildlife habitat, clean up our waterways, and parks and trails. So this year we have more than 60 projects locations identified. We're hoping to get 1,300 volunteers to do this work, but right now we only have about 850 people registered. So our talk to you today is to get the word out. We've handed out these posters, so feel free to place them at your anywhere you feel free. If you'd like more, just let Callie or I know.
You want to make your own team?
And join us, yes, that would be great too. So we have all the information there on registration. You can also find it on our webpage, dmparks.org. And if you have any questions, you can let us know. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors. With our diamond level, we have Come and Go, Principal, Big City Burgers and Greens, and the City of Des Moines. At the platinum level, we have Polk County Conservation, Des Moines Waterworks, Wells Fargo, Metro Waste Authority, Cargill, Green Star, Waste Management, Mid-American, ING, Southsider Studios, Meredith Corporation, and Ernest & Young. And because of all these sponsorships, we have so many teams that work on this event. We have to designate captains because we want this event to run smoothly. So we meet with the captains, and as a thank you to doing all the extra work on their side of it, we give them a free t-shirt. This year we found a really cool t-shirt that's made out of recycled plastic and organic cotton. So we're very, very excited about this new t-shirt. And we also supply all of the supplies to the volunteers while they're out there, so we want to make this a great event. And a big thank you for Big City Burgers and Greens, because each person who volunteers at Earth Day will receive a free lunch from them at Nolan Plaza. So it is a win-win for our parks, and it's just and for the Des Moines metro area. So do we have any questions? Anyone wanting to be on a team? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great report, Julie, Kelly, good job.
The next update I have is about bird watching at Grays Lake. We have a volunteer every year, John Bissell, who has been coming out, and he's been, this spring he started again. He goes from March through May. 11 o'clock in the morning, he comes out there over his lunch hour and goes out till 11:45. We invite the public to come out for this free bird watching, even if you're a novice. He does have scopes and binoculars and things out there available. So far this spring, we've only had a couple sessions. We've already had 41 people attend, so there's a big interest out there in our community to come out and learn about bird watching and what kind of wildlife we have in our parks. So we encourage you to come on out if you have time over your lunch hour and meet at the beach right now and meet John. We have great volunteers, and thanks to John for helping out with leading the bird watching. So far this season, he's seen bald eagles, Canada geese, canvasbacks, common golden eyes, common mergansers, greater and lesser scallops, hooded mergansers, red-breasted mergansers, mallards, red-tailed hawks, ring-necked ducks, and my favorite, the ruddy duck. So if you have time, come on out. You have till May to check out the birds at Grays Lake. Do you have any questions about?
Give us the day and the time again.
Sure. Wednesdays from 11 to 11:45 every Wednesday. And if you miss it, Jen Fletcher, who's in charge of marketing, posted on our Facebook site. We have other information out there, or feel free to contact us and we can give you the list of what he's seeing. Thanks.
I think it's important to note too that this is a direct result of some of our survey collections. We do data collection from the public, what do they want to see? This is always one of those ones that ranks highly. They want more outdoor education type of classes, bird watching being one of those. So we're listening, and we're listening to you as board members as well as the public for their ideas. So if those people that listen to our TV audience tonight have ideas and programs, send them to us. We're always looking for new ideas too.
Okay, thanks for the information, Kelly. Sounds great.
Next two items are Tiva, so if she can provide that, that'd be great.
Chairman Galloway, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Tiva Dawson, Recreation Manager. I'd just like to add two things to Callie's report on the bird watching. One is just, again, the power of volunteers. That program's brought to us by a volunteer who comes on his lunch hour, wants to escape the cubicle world of his office and comes down to Grays Lake. And the second thing is we'll be hiring a naturalist here soon. It's a new supervisor position for us that will be doing a lot more of that type of programming. So we're excited about that. I'm here to talk about two new programs that you'll see in April for the Parks Department. The first one called Parks in 3 Lines. This will be happening at Grays Lake starting this Friday, if not sooner, if we can get them installed. Pretty much what we're doing is trying to encourage people to have more awareness in their general walk around the lake. That so often I've found it remarkable that people are on their treadmill when they come around that 2-mile loop, and they'll walk through mud, and you can tell they're thinking about the to-do list or the grocery list or something other than the moment that they're in. And we know there's a lot of health benefits to people learning to let go of all those other chatter and just really paying attention to the moment. A lot of health benefits to your mind, as well as you really open yourself up to a new experience every time you're around the lake and you pay attention to what's around you. And so the project is encourage people to do that and then essentially capturing those moments by writing a simple 3-line writing or poem. We're trying to be as soft as we could because we know a lot of people think that poetry isn't for them, but you find that writing 3 lines about what was remarkable on your walk isn't too hard. So we invited 15 people to submit poems, anywhere from a 7-year-old at the downtown school to some middle school students at Brody, all the way up to Mary Swander, who's the poet laureate, as well as a couple of professors that have also submitted haiku-inspired type poems. They will be installed at Grays Lake this week. We hope to actually have a second set installed middle of April based on submissions of poems we get in the next couple of weeks. We'll also have chalkboards installed on site, 3 different chalkboards with 3 lines, encouraging people to write immediately something that they found remarkable at the park. So we'll kind of see how those submissions go as well, and we'll be reprinting them. So stay engaged with that. We'll be posting some on our social media sites as they also get submitted. Any questions about that one? Good, and then the Wishing Flags project is called the Wishing Flags for the River. I had, thanks, oh, Rebecca did have them rolling when you came in, if you noticed them. I also brought some so you can see what they are in person. These are some of them that our staff has done. We'll pass those around. The Wishing Flag project is come about for a couple of reasons. Essentially, we've invited elementary school students to put their wishes for the river on a flag. Those flags will be strung along the Des Moines Riverwalk, the principal Riverwalk, as a way to dedicate the Riverwalk before and after Earth Day. So they'll go up on April 12th and come down on the 29th, a very short installation, but there'll be a few thousand flags that'll be flying there with all of these children's wishes for the river. It's a way for us to celebrate Earth Day. It's a way to engage kids in this opening, therefore their families, in the opening of the Riverwalk, and hopefully they'll urge their parents to bring them down there and try and hunt for their flag as well as their friends. And for all of us to be able to see what the children's wishes are for the river. There's nothing more inspiring and something for us to really try to aspire to when we think about clean rivers than seeing what they've chosen to write about on their flags. So please do walk around the Riverwalk within those 2-week period. I also brought some blank ones that if you guys are interested or have folks, there's some that have been done by adults. You can see that some of those are not just children, that are staff, and we'd like to invite the board and anybody else that you'd like to work with. I brought blank ones. If you want to bring them by the office by Monday, you're welcome to participate in the project as well.
What, like with what?
You can use anything that's permanent. So some of those have been done with crayons, markers. I actually had somebody who crocheted and glued it to the flag, so it's been interesting to see how everyone takes a different look on it. And actually that fabric was donated. It's extra binding material from LBS, so everything's been kind of recycled, and we didn't have to actually buy much except for the string that they'll be hung with. It'll make the full loop around the Riverwalk.
A lot of flags.
Yeah, it's a few thousand. Yep. So the Des Moines School has been great to work with, encouraging kids to work on them.
Any questions for Tiva?
Do you have opening date yet? I mean,
They'll go
will be a reception at that time?
for the Riverwalk dedication. I think will be happening separately. So this is kind of 2 different projects. We're working with Principal. Principal has funded this project as part of their rolling out of the dedication, but they'll probably have something much more formal. They have generally tossed out a date, but we haven't heard anything official yet. They're hoping, I think, April, if not May.
Okay.
But for sure, we'll let you guys know about that as well.
What a great idea.
Thanks.
Anything else for Tiva? Okay, great report. I'm glad to see some new ideas.
Thanks.
Tiva, I just had one question. Have you given any thought to what you're going to do with them when you take the installation down?
No, we haven't, because there's so many of them, and we've had volunteers who are actually putting them together. We didn't want to have to ask the volunteers to make sure they labeled what school they came from. It was just, there's so many of them. We may just wrap them up and put them in boxes and give them back to the Des Moines schools if they'd like to try to shuffle through them. But no, we don't have any plan for them. If you have ideas, I know people have thought about other locations they could be installed. I don't know what they'll look like after 2 weeks outside either.
I wondered if people would want to auction them off or whatever. They're very.
It's a good question.
Some of them are very cute. And
Yep.
it might be fun to have a little auction.
That's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that. Thank you.
And Eva, the Tibetan prayer flags, they're supposed to actually sort of disintegrate and go away. That's part of the whole spirit
Yeah.
rising. So it doesn't matter if they don't look so good after 2
No.
Yes, yep.
And it's
But in terms of reusing them
Yes.
somewhere else, right?
They're
Yep.
very,
Yeah.
very nice. It'd be fun to get a couple. I
Yes.
was just thinking, gosh, I'd like a couple of.
Yeah, we should chat when they're done and see. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll take a couple.
Well, whatever. But I think it's a nice thought that the children took the time to make them and then somebody could repurpose them for their yard for the summer.
Right,
Might
yep.
want to.
Yes, we're just excited to see their wishes blowing through the breezes of April. It'll be nice.
Very nice.
I share.
Okay, thanks, Tiva.
Thank you.
Back by popular demand is our Did You Know? And this week is, this month I should say, is McCray Park, and John Hagner will be our presenter.
Chairman Galloway, members of the Park and Recreation Board, John Hagener, Park and Recreation Superintendent. Yes, this evening's Did You Know is about McCray Park. McCray Park, as many of you know, is located on the south quadrant of Des Moines. McCray was actually associated by location with South Park. South Park was a residential development located adjacent to McCray Park. Now, South Park was platted in 1875, and it was intended as a quality residential development, laid out in a naturalistic plat and a commanding view of the city. The residential development was not successful and subsequently was replatted. And so this is actually that, now work with me here, this is that commanding view taken about 2 weeks ago. So this is a March picture, overcast day, but still nonetheless, I think it is a spectacular view of McCray, or at least the downtown skyline from McCray Park. So as far as the native vegetation within the park, it was predominantly oak hickory forest and woodland oak hickory savanna. Now, in the 1930s, the tree density was sufficiently high enough in some areas to create forests, although most of the park was still open enough to be woodland and savanna. You can see from this current, of course, Google Doc picture that on this, towards the south end of the park, you can sort of see those open areas that still exist today. The American Legion erected this memorial seat, and at the time, it was a fountain. Now, keep this in mind. This is about 81 years ago, so since then, of course, the fountain has disappeared. But this is along the existing park road on the east side of the park, and you can barely make this out, but the picture on the right, you can see in the stone that's engraved, dedicated 1932. So that still exists, pretty cool. I got to tell you this, Julie, literally a staff member just told me this 16 minutes ago. I did not see this in the 62-acre park, but also in the park, in the open-air shelter, there is a picture and a plaque, excuse me, of Don McCray, who we're going to find out just in 2 seconds here what it was about. But had I gotten that, I would have certainly captured it, but apparently I'm told by Julie that's up there. So let's find out about Don McCray. He, excuse me, he actually died at the age of 23. He went to North High School and then Drake University for a year studying chemistry. He then took a job at Chase and West department store, which is a forerunner of Yonkers, where he met Edward Fleur. He became good friends with Edward Fleur, who was his supervisor and mentor. Both Edward Fleur and Don McCray joined the National Guard and were immediately sent to France. On March 5th, 1918, a shell fragment cut through Don's helmet, killing him instantly. On May 26th, his friend Fleur wrote a letter to the McCray's parents. He described the letter certainly as the hardest letter he'd ever written, In that letter, it states he was such a close friend and a hard worker. Don was in line for his second promotion and to go to school in France to become an officer. Fleur further wrote, I have his helmet with me and I will bring it home if I get home. This letter was sent. However, it was the last letter that Fleur had written because he was actually, the following day, he was gassed and then later shortly died. So that being said, this is actually the first page of, I want to say it was about 8 or so pages long of the letter. So that's, again, this is the letter that Fleur wrote to Don McCrae's parents. So that's really the reason for the naming of the park on behalf of Don McCrae, and certainly it's important to recognize that. It's pretty cool. I'm glad you guys like doing these little did you know. With that said, I kind of wanted to end on a little bit lighter note than that. So I thought this was kind of cool. They had what they call a fish day, and they have studies way back. The earliest we could figure out was 1919, where they stocked the current lagoon, and you can see I captured a Des Moines Register article, August 10, 1919. According to the reports last evening, Albert Coe, with a 10.5-inch fish caught in McCrae, was the prize winner. I thought it was kind of interesting that that way back in 1919, the fish stories already started. So with that, that's the did you know about McCrae. So comments, questions?
Thank you.
I think it's important just to have a disclaimer for the board and those watching on TV is we do our best research on these as we can, and there may be more to the story sometimes. So what we provide to you is what we can find in a short amount of time, and is also there might be more to the story. So if people are listening, they want to add to our history. We are collecting the history in all these parks. So anybody out there that has any history, bring it down to us. We'll add it to the file, and we're trying to have a database of all these things. So in the future, we can have them online and have them available down the road to everybody.
Okay, thanks, John. Excellent report. Found out a lot of neat things there. Okay, next we'll move on to item A for board action, hearing on the proposed East Side Dog Park, naming it the Reno Memorial Dog Park. And then after that, a vote on a recommendation to the city council. Ben, did you have any remarks to kick this off?
I'll ask Kevin Moran to come up just for the viewing audience's purposes, just to provide the justification of why this park is being proposed to be named. And in the meantime, I'll tell you just to go over the process one more time is that you'll have an opportunity here, but you need to have a public hearing, so you'll need to allow members of the audience that have come out to give you their input tonight, that opportunity, and then close your hearing and take a vote and make a recommendation, and we will move that through the system. Ultimately, the city council makes that decision according to our naming policy. And is that the correct? Yes. All right, great.
Chairman Galloway, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Kevin Moran, Senior Park Planner. As the Blue Letter stated in this last month, we wanted to kind of take the opportunity to rename the dog park that's being proposed on the east side of town after Reno, which was the canine, and call it the Reno Memorial Dog Park. Reno did serve with the Des Moines Police Department and served very well, and there's been a lot of stories coming out as well through this process, and so it just made sense to kind of make that park named after that dog and all the things, awareness that that program does for the citizens and the police department.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Thanks.
With that, we will open the public hearing on this matter. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board? I don't see anybody coming forward. Last call for anybody in the audience. Okay, there is nothing to be heard in that regard, so we will close the public hearing. And next we'll move on to our vote on the recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions, or discussion?
I think it's perfect.
This park is anticipated to open sometime this spring. The fencing contractor has been on site a few days, and when the weather turned again, they had to leave until the ground thawed back out, but we should have a soft opening of sorts here in the next few weeks. So.
Is there a particular reason why this dog park for Reno, or as opposed to one of the others? Just curious.
There's no
Is there
particular
some
reason on this
connection?
particular park. Councilmember Mahaffey brought this to us, and so he represents the east side. I think that's where it started out at.
Any other comments, questions, or discussion? So just so everybody's clear, we'll be voting to recommend that the city council rename the dog park as the Reno Memorial Dog Park. Are we ready to vote? Yes. Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Galloway.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Gilb.
Yes.
Ogle.
Yes.
Bacto.
Yes.
Haney Vanderhaar.
Yes.
Nolan.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Scavo.
Yes.
Thornton.
Yes.
Feltner.
Yes.
Jungaward.
Yes.
Chen.
Yes.
It is unanimously approved. Next, we'll move on to item B for board action regarding cemetery fees.
We have no new additional information, but we are available for questions and comments.
I would move the recommendation of the staff.
I'd second that.
Okay, questions, comments?
I'll comment on it, Joe. I think the cemetery staff and the cemetery committee has just done excellent work in this area. I know these are some major changes, but they're long overdue. And I think most people won't really notice this that much because most people don't think about this, about the cemetery until they need one. So it's long overdue. It brings us into line with other cemeteries around the area. And I really appreciate all the work that's been done by our staff because it's been yeoman's work.
Thank you very much.
And I want to recognize Max Nauer, the chairman of the cemetery committee, who's in the audience. Max has done a lot of great work, as has Marlene Anderson and Deanna Clausen. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work there, and it's turned out great as far as I'm concerned.
We do have one comment that I would like to add, Chairman Galloway and members of the Park and Recreation Board. In your handouts that you received for this, there was a map of Glendale Cemetery in particular that showed the active areas of the cemetery, the active sales areas. In the document that we will be presenting after your vote to the City Council, there would be a footnote on the sheet of fees that indicates that if there were to be a space sale in any of the areas that are right now full, which there could be if somebody sells their lot, for example, to somebody else, then the rate that would be charged for that space would be that which is in keeping with other areas of the cemetery that are like that. In other words, select, non-select, planting, above-ground monuments, and things of that nature. So we just wanted to point that out since that wasn't indicated on your document, but it will be in the official ordinance record. And then I do want to make a comment, Suzette, to your comments. We have seen there was a coverage on KCCI TV as a result of the meeting coverage that we had last month here at the Park and Recreation Board, and we have seen a surge in sales in the last month. Deanna and I were just talking about this, and she had 9 sales in one day even, and so that's like a record. So not only will this bring us additional revenue through the increase, but also through the pending increases. So thank you.
Good point, Marlene. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to talk about this? Max, do you have anything you wanted to add?
No, nothing beyond what I did last week. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see anybody else coming forward. Well, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Are there any other questions or comments?
I just have one small comment, is that I think this is a real success of the public process this board has and your subcommittees. It's very difficult for our staff to work through a process without people like the board and the cemetery committee that help us balance our ideas and give us their reflections from the other side of the ledger, if you will. So again, I'm a big believer in the multiple committees we have in the board process, and I thank all of you, and especially our board members and Max and that committee for the work they put on it. Our staff did have a lot of time, but it wasn't without those volunteers and board members helping us along the way. I encourage the ones that were involved to be at that council meeting, because your words are just as strong as ours, and they appreciate your view as users, if you will, and citizens. So if anybody can be here, these are substantial changes, and they are really positive for our community, I believe. So if you have a chance or an opportunity to be there, we'd love to have you.
Ben, when will it be on the council agenda?
The city manager makes the decision on all those things, but we are working with him right now. It looks like the first meeting in April, which would be April 8th. Is that right? Is that a Monday? I don't have my-
Right.
April 8th at 5 o'clock. I can't tell you exactly when and where in the agenda, but that would be the time we're shooting for. Keep us going along the path it is right now. So again, thank you. Thank you, Max.
Okay, anything else from anybody? Are we ready to vote? Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Galloway.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Gilb.
Yes.
Ogle.
Yes.
Facto.
Yes.
Kenny Vanderhaar.
Yes.
Nolan.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Scavo.
Yes.
Thornton.
Yes.
Feltner.
Yes.
Junga Ward.
Yes.
Chen.
Yes.
It is unanimously approved. Next, we'll move on to item C for board action, which is to set a date for hearing on naming the enclosed shelter in Birdland Park.
Thank you. Much like the Reno Memorial Dog Park item last month you had, tonight we're not asking you to do anything but set a date of hearing to have a process to decide and make a recommendation back to the city council on the naming of Birdland Shelter. As many of you know, Birdland Shelter is one of our most used enclosed shelters in our system. It's been offline for 2 years due to the levee project. The parking lot for that shelter was used as a staging area for the equipment and everything that went along with that project. We are doing a fabulous and tremendous overhauling of that place. It'll be one of the nicest enclosed shelters, I'm convinced, of this in the near future here. In fact, we've taken a wedding reservation in June 4th, so it's coming along just great. During this time that this word got out that we were doing the process here, Councilmember Mahaffey was approached by some constituents to rename that in honor of Ding Darling. Ding Darling has quite a legacy for conservation on the whole nationwide, but in Des Moines too. For those of you who don't know, as well as on TV audience as well, he was a chair in the 1930s of this park board. He's done a tremendous amount of work for the conservation movement, and today he would be proud of you as a board and our mayor and council for what they've continued to push. So I think it's an appropriate honor for you to make a decision on at our next meeting and have your public input process, and again, we'll move it through the city process.
It's one of the coolest names I've ever heard.
I think so.
Yeah.
Ding dong.
Ding darling.
You know, if approved, we have some ideas on our staff too that we would try to collect, and anybody wants to donate some things that make sense to put in that facility to theme it after his legacy, whether it's replica or it's existing original items.
So does this public hearing need to happen within a certain time frame?
We'd like to have you have at your next meeting. We'd like you to set the date of hearing because we have to post that for the public.
Okay, I got it, okay.
So what's that date, Ben?
April 20, anybody have a calendar on it? It's the fourth Tuesday, our meeting is, but April 22nd, I want to say. 23rd? April 23rd, 5 o'clock, this building, this room.
All right, so we're looking for a motion. I so move that we schedule it.
Second. If somebody didn't say that.
Okay, any further questions or comments or discussion? We have a motion to set the hearing on April 23rd. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to talk about this? Let's see anybody.
Darling.
Are we ready to vote on this? Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Galloway.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Gilb.
Yes.
Ogle.
Yes.
Facto.
Yes.
Kenny Vanderhaar.
Yes.
Nolan.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Scavo.
Yes.
Thornton.
Yes.
Feltner.
Yes.
Junga Ward.
Yes.
Chen.
Yes.
It's, again, unanimously approved. Okay, we're on a roll here. Next, we'll move on to receive and file item D, the annual report. And I'm sure Ben wants to tell us something about that.
Yes, I'll ask Matt Salvatore and Jen Fletcher to make their way to the podium, but I'll kick it off here. You know, I have an increased focus and emphasis on connecting what we do analytically to the value of what we provide our community. I think the future of our successes will be educating the public on the value of parks and recreation. One thing you'll hear me say once, I'll say it 100 times over my career is, and every professional in our field would say the same thing, is that we know for a fact that not everybody in this community may use a park or a trail or participate in a park and recreation program, but I can guarantee you through scientific research that everybody benefits by having parks and recreation in their community, from increased property values to increased health. We can preach to the choir up here at this board, but we all understand those things. So one thing we've done is we've taken a look at our annual report. It's going to have a lot of numbers. We're going to release it to you for the first time today. This is the first viewing, and we're very proud of us as a team. The two speakers we have here were the quarterbacks or the co-chairs of this. They did a tremendous amount of work, and they did a great job, and they produced a great document. The work doesn't stop, though, here. This is where we really need your support as board members to take this information and help us spread the word on the value of what we do and why we're important to this community. So with that,
Chairman Galloway, members of the Park Board, Jennifer Fletcher, Marketing Supervisor. And as you pass around this document that as Ben said, very proud to share with you. I just want to give you a little background on how it all came together. We started in December, and we really looked at other park and recreation departments, gold medal award-winning departments, local annual reports from around the area, corporate examples, and how they kind of formulated their data, what they used, and how they kind of sold themselves. And we decided that in addition to financials and the facility overview, that we wanted to formulate our report and based on the pillars of our mission statement. And that's how we displayed the data and kind of organized it. And we had the cooperation from the entire department, and because this was a gigantic undertaking, and there was a lot of information that we didn't have at the ready and had to kind of dig and find. We decided to use testimonials from the different areas in the department to kind of strengthen the story and put some face with the numbers. And as you can see, we have a good foundation for next year based on what we put together for this year, and we've already kind of started formulating where we're going to go. So with that, I give it back.
Chairman Galloway, members of the Park and Recreation Board, I'm Matt Salvatore, Administrative Analyst. The report itself is more of a highlight. We do so much in our department that it would be a much larger document if we included everything. So we tried to hit the highlights, although we did try to include all the different areas of our department. We captured a high percentage of our offerings. We're going to use this as a showcase tool to, like Ben said, make the public aware of what we do in Parks and Recreation in Des Moines. We distributed this to the mayor and council last night, and we're distributing it for you today. We're also going to give it to the Friends of Des Moines Parks, and as of tomorrow, it's going on our website, so the public will be able to view the document as well. We're very proud of it. So, any questions for Jen or I?
Beautiful job.
This is just, I love the $73.
Yep. That's a good point. I really appreciate you bringing that up, Susan, because if you drill down to one thing, and I don't ever want you to balance your advocacy for what we do on just the dollars and cents, but since we've been in budget reduction mode for a while, where else can you get what we offer if you use the average assessed home at $100,000 for $73 a month? You don't even have a couple's gym membership for $73 a month, or your cable bill is less than your cell phone bill is less than that. I can go on, but you have a tremendous amount of free activities and facilities and parks for $73 a year. Show me where you can beat that, and I'd be glad to have that conversation with you.
Also, I think having people's quotes, especially the one from the woman that lives in Pennsylvania. I mean, wow, that's just really a powerful way of getting our point across without bashing somebody over the head with it. It's just really well done.
We reached out to the public on that. We got a lot of participation.
That's
yeah.
a lot too.
So we had to narrow it down to a few good ones.
Do you have an electronic copy of this?
We do.
Yeah, we'll be up on our website tomorrow. We can also probably email that out.
We were very cognizant on, the fact of the budget reduction, so we didn't want to go out and print a bunch of fancy documents. We literally made about 100 of these, and we want to make sure we get them in our board members' hands, the councils. I'll use it for when I need to, make pitches for sponsorships and large donations and grants, but we made it electronical too, so we could get it out and share with everybody. It's going to go to the neighborhoods. It's going to go to the different boards. The Northeast Neighbors is one. We'll get it to them. We'll get it to the Des Moines Neighbors Board. Everybody who wants this, we have a little release plan that Jen's created that I've approved. It looks great. So by the end of the week, we hope that the media all has this. Everybody that needs to have it has it. It's just great information, I think.
What a great job.
Yeah, this was a lot of work.
The template is built. This is a good thing. So now we have a template for what kind of information we want to present. And if you have ideas that we're missing, please let me know. And because we're going to do this every year, we're going to make an investment in our time to make sure we decide every year.
I'm just really impressed.
Well, thank you. We are too. I'm impressed with what the vision I had, and they put it on paper.
Good work, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Thanks, Matt. Great job. Okay, is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is received and filed. And that concludes the voting items on the agenda. Just prior to the meeting, I received some sad news that Cindy Chen is going to be leaving the board, and really sorry to hear that. You've been a great board member, and we wish you well, and maybe you'd like to make some comments.
Thank you, Chairman. It's my pleasure to serve on this board for I don't know how many years, and it really is a learning process for me. I learned a lot and really have a lot of respect for not only staff, but also board members. I really admire their dedication, and I believe our park and recreation, facilities in the city of Des Moines are in good hands, and I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm going to stand up and thank you and thank you.
Well, thank you for your service, Cindy. You've been a great board member. Be sure you come back and visit us.
I will, especially having special issues. You will see me.
Good. Okay, are there any other announcements, reports, questions, or anything else for the good of the cause?
Throw the gavel.
Are we ready to adjourn then? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.